I'm ready to continue.
Divide the working class to distract from the fact that
Great.
they're doing everything
Let's jump
they
right in.
can
Are you
to
legally
enrich
authorized to
billionaires.
work in the United States without sponsorship?
Yes, I am. I'm a U.S. citizen.
All right, that's good to know. What are your W-2 hourly rate and salary expectations?
I am flexible on depending on the position. It looks like above 40 an hour should be okay for me.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks for sharing that. How do you usually approach reconciling invoices against budget line items?
I'm first going to take the master list of total invoices, and then I'm going to look at a ledger, or if there is any year marketing planning documents that do state what the annual budget is, and then I will try and break it up month by month to see if the invoices, which are generally billed net 30, match up with the budget.
I see. That's a systematic approach. Could you share how you would handle any mismatches or discrepancies you uncover during the reconciliation process?
I generally find a way to annotate or mark what these discrepancies are. If there are groupings or different types of them, I will label them one such as maybe the total balance is incorrect. Another one, maybe a transaction is categorized incorrectly. Or if another one has a vendor name that doesn't match what we have, or some other column or heading difference. And then after that, I will make a summary page and see where I can tackle the discrepancies. If there are some that are large dollar amounts, I will start with those first to try and balance the budget, or I will start with others with simple data errors such as like vendor name or spelling.
Got it. So you prioritize based on significance or ease of correction. That's a clear strategy. What's the hardest budget discrepancy you've resolved, and how did you handle it?
I was working on a CapEx purchase of a webinar tool, and during this process, a director of marketing had changed positions and left the company, and so I was left with an unclear budget. I was also left with no way to figure out what was approved and what wasn't because it was in her emails. And so the first thing I'd started with is a ground setting or expectations on what do we have as our current and approved budget. And then second is going into lots of emails and lots of communication, getting people into a room about where the communication breakdown happened, which usually is an issue for budget discrepancies between one department approving a budget, let's say IT, and then marketing implementing it and perhaps purchasing more add-ons or having to buy additional features or tools or resource libraries or agency services to implement it. So going back to the drawing table and seeing what was approved at the VP level and then trickling down and making sure there's a paper trail for what that approved budget amount is. And in this instance, there was a discrepancy of 30,000. And that turned out to be a unapproved software contract for an outside agency that was not approved. So I had to have that conversation on how best to deal with that vendor, given that someone else had signed the contract, but they're no longer at the company.
Wow, that sounds like a very challenging situation with multiple layers to navigate, unclear approvals, communication gaps, and a sizable discrepancy. It sounds like you were very thorough and solution oriented in resolving it. All right, switching gears now. Walk me through how you'd create a consolidated dashboard for tracking marketing budgets.
I was a marketing operations manager where there were demand generation channels from radio, email, print, newsletter, and a ton of paid media and SEO or organic channels. And my job was to create a dashboard first in Salesforce to capture all of the lead activity. That started with looking at what kind of data objects I was dealing with, if it was just leads, contacts, accounts, or even campaign objects, and then figuring out from an executive sponsor level, what are the VPs, what are the boards and directors looking at. So if they are looking more for overall lead volume, and how can all of the data objects categorize into that. Or if when I worked at AAA, there's another example where this team was using Tableau, but they wanted to look at leads quarter over quarter, and also they had an incremental dashboard. So I will first need to assess like really what is the time span or the timeline for the dashboard, and then after that, what are the filters and different views that someone would need to see, whether it's by channel or if it is by cost per lead, if it's more revenue based like RevOps, or if it's going to be based on tracking efforts. So trying to track associations or influences. So then it becomes a little bit more detailed to discuss about first in last out, or what is the first associated lead source for a marketing record, or are we going to use the last attributed lead source? So a bunch of different factors, but trying to start from top down and then get into the details of the tracking or the record details.
That's really comprehensive, starting by assessing what data objects and insights need to be prioritized and layering in the specific filters or views based on stakeholder requirements. It seems like you really balance both technical and business perspectives when creating dashboards. All right, next up, describe your experience with Workday Finance or a similar ERP system.
I've used Oracle for a finance system, and that was for both billing, budgeting, accounting, and forecasting. Workday Finance I've used as a regular end user, but specifically in Oracle, I was a marketing administrator responsible for the marketing budgets, and that included managing the cost centers, the invoices, the travel plans or the invoices for that team, and any other miscellaneous bills that need to be handled through this specific system. So I would consider myself more advanced because I had to do a lot of reporting, and I had to manage the users who either needed access or needed certain permissions and rights, and then I would also have to manage all the costs and individual details of each cost center.
Got it. It seems like you have solid experience in Oracle with responsibility for end-to-end budgeting and administrative tasks, plus some exposure to Workday Finance. That's helpful to know. Now, briefly describe your experience level with Excel.
I'm an advanced user with Excel. I have used Excel to manage up to 1 million records or rows and manipulate the data, import it, export it, do complex formulas and VLOOKUPs, and I can also do macros and also consider looking up different pivot tables or complex pivot charts depending on how many different views are needed. And this is for different marketing funnel metrics. I've also used it for different accounting scenarios.
That's impressive. It sounds like you're very comfortable working with large data sets, advanced formulas, and automation in Excel. Finally, do you have any questions for me?
What would make me competitive for this position?
Great question. For this marketing operations specialist role, being detail-oriented and proficient in managing budgets, reconciling invoices, and reporting will definitely make you stand out. Your advanced Excel knowledge, familiarity with ERP systems, and ability to create dashboards tailored to stakeholders' needs are all big pluses. Strong communication skills to collaborate across departments would also be highly valued. Do you have any other questions I can help with?
What are the next steps after this interview?
After this interview, an Onward Search recruiter will carefully review your responses along with your full application. If you're selected to move forward, they'll reach out to you with next steps, which could involve more detailed discussions or interviews. Do you have any other questions about the process or the role?
Is this a new role or is it a backfill?
I don't have that specific information. It could depend on the client's needs, but this wasn't disclosed to me. Do you have any other questions I can assist with?
Who is my recruiter for this role?
The recruiter reviewing your interview will be from Onward Search, but I don't have their specific name to share with you at this moment. Do you have any other questions?
At what point can I discuss the pay rate?
The pay rate will typically be discussed directly with your Onward Search recruiter if you move forward in the process. They'll provide all the details about compensation at that time. Anything else you'd like to know?
Will I get a copy of my answers?
Candidates don't typically get a copy of their responses, but rest assured that your recruiter will use them along with your full application to assess your fit for the role. Is there anything else you'd like to ask?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Thanks so much for your time and thoughtful responses. An Onward Search recruiter will review your interview and full profile shortly. We're excited about the possibility of working together. Great job, and talk to you soon.
Thank you.